Hello, and welcome to Energizing Habits, Simple Strategies for a Sustainable, Healthy Lifestyle. I'm your host, Vicki Cleary, and I guide busy businesswomen through sustainable habit change so they can have more energy and can thrive. So, I want to share just a little bit about how my weekend's gone so far. Yesterday was quite busy. We had a very full day. We had a volleyball tournament, high school volleyball tournament that pretty much lasted all day. So I popped over after I taught my yoga class and got to see the majority of the tournament. And our team, of course, played pretty well. They did a good job. And it's just a long day, right? But that wasn't it. We didn't only have the tournament. As soon as the tournament got done, we had to turn around and get ready for school activity. It's a pretty fun activity, but it involves body paint and different activities that the students do and a lot of cheering. So everything combined just made for a really long day. Fun, exciting, long, taxing on the energy. I think I slept like a baby, but I woke up with a headache this morning, which I'm not surprised. With all the stuff that sometimes it's hard to remember to drink enough water. There's stuff flying in the air with the seasonal change, the whole bit, right? So I woke up with a headache, and I actually thought about canceling my workout this morning. But two things I remembered: one, if I cancel, then I lose that workout, which is a positive incentive, I think. Or is it a negative incentive? No, it's an incentive either way. But I also remembered that when I have a headache and I can get my body moving, it actually helps to diminish the headache pretty significantly. So that actually helped me get my butt up and going to my workout. And once I got moving there, I was like, I can't do the full intensity that I normally would do. So I'd probably say about half intensity, right? Especially if you're like gauging on the treadmill. On my full speed stuff, I think I'm getting up in like a 10 on the speed. Today was like a 5, so kind of gauging that felt like half intensity. But I was right. Once I got moving, like, yes, I still have a headache, but I started to feel a little bit better. And some of it is the movement helps the blood circulation the whole bit. So anyway, I'm glad that I got the workout and I feel better. And I'm not just like stuck laying around all day while I have this headache, right? It's like I actually feel better and I can get things done. So that's awesome. Today I want to talk about working out, and I want to share my number one rule for effective fitness programs. So we all know, most people know, right, that working out does so much to help you feel more fit, to help you feel more healthy, really from the inside out. It helps you feel healthier from your head to your toes. Thinking about like your brain function, right? I mentioned like my headache was diminished. It's the circulation thing, but also like using the different parts of your brain as you do different exercises. Helps your circulation, helps your digestive system, can help your hormones, your mood, and your immune response. So working out actually has so many benefits. But not to mention like your heart and your lungs, right? They work to help them work a little bit more efficiently. So I want to share, what it really takes to get into great shape and experience all these benefits. And kind of regardless of getting into great shape, right? Just feeling better, but then also feeling all these health benefits. So the thing that I'm going to share, you may find that there's actually takeaways in other areas of your life, not just fitness. Okay. I focus on, movement, nutrition, and self-care. And so this thing can actually help in all three of those areas. And it can also help beyond that. So let's say you're talking about finances or relationships or any kind of thing. Really, this thing that I'm going to share, you can actually apply in pretty much any area and see the benefits of what you're trying to do. But speaking specifically about fitness today, knowing what to do isn't enough, right? We all know that we need to move more in order to be more healthy, to see those health benefits. We all know things to do, right? Well, mostly we have an understanding of exercises or things that we can do. And if you have a specific goal, like, you want to bulk up, maybe you're bulking up, you're building more muscle. So you know that you need to lift weights. And there may be a specific strength building routine that you do, right? So you know what you need to do, but that's not enough. It's not enough to just know what to do, but it's also not enough to go knock out a workout, right? A really hard, powerful workout, and then not do anything for the rest of the week. You're not going to see the results there. That's like a start-stop kind of thing. Or maybe it's like you go in a spurt, maybe there's a few days or whatever that you do these workouts, but then you don't do anything for a couple of weeks. So another version of stop-start. So you're not going to see the results that you want in these types of, either just knowing or then the stop-start. So with that, can you guess what the number one rule is for an effective fitness program? I'll give you a moment to kind of think about it. Okay, it's consistency. Consistency. Working out on a regular basis, let me just change that. Moving your body on a regular basis will do more for you than cranking out a hard workout in just a few bouts here and there. Kind of sporadic every once in a while. It's much better to do less more often than it is to do more less often. Does that make sense? Right? So doing less more often, being able to go spend a shorter amount of time at the gym or moving your body, doing whatever it is that you're going to do, spending a little less time so that you can actually do it, versus having that hour and a half long workout, whatever the thing is, but not doing it as often. Okay. Consistency is a big part of success in pretty much every part of your life. So I mentioned that already. You can apply this to your finances, to your relationships, to other goals that you might have in your life. It's especially key when you're integrating healthy habits. Any new habit needs consistency in order to flourish, right? In order to become a part of what you do, you have to do it. So it really just takes just this little thing to show up, put in some effort on a regular basis, okay? Sometimes that seems like a lot. And I'm going to talk about a couple of ways that you can make this happen more regularly. But when you're talking about your fitness, you're going to get better results. You are going to be healthier from the inside out. You're going to feel healthier from the inside out. And so it's a win-win-win, right? All the way around. So I want you to stop for a moment and just think, right? Because there are areas in your life where you've likely already used consistency to do something. It could be at work. Maybe it's consistently, meeting with a team member to help them improve. Could be family relationships, and that could be consistently, having family dinner, or being very specific, intentional about spending time on a regular basis with family members. Or even like a hobby or a skill, right? Playing a musical instrument. You've got to consistently practice in order to be able to play that instrument well. Any other hobbies or skills that you might be working on, that would apply too. So my first tip then in creating consistency is starting slow. Slow or starting small. You can kind of do both or just one, slow or small. So in order to be consistent, it's important to start slow with manageable steps that you can more likely integrate into your lifestyle. And that way you aren't overwhelmed. If you're taking this whole big new routine, this big thing that you want to start doing, and you try to put that over the top of your current lifestyle, it's going to be so much harder to actually make that happen, to actually attain that new habit or routine. And while you're doing it, it's going to be very stressful. So most of you, right, you're my busy business women, my busy business babes, sometimes I call you, because you are, hard at work on your career. You might also have a side hustle. You could be a full-time entrepreneur. You may have a family on top of all these things. Or there may be other things that you like to do on top of all these things that just keep you going and moving and shaking. But when you are trying to change your habits, when you're trying to do new things, trying to put that, big thing over the top of what you already have going on can feel like too much sometimes. And when that happens, it's less likely to happen. And also starts to push you towards burnout, right? Where you're not feeling good. So in terms of your fitness program, in terms of your workouts, moving your body, starting slow might look like picking one short workout from each of there's kind of three main categories of effective fitness program, right? So you've got your strength training, you've got your endurance or cardio, right? And then you've got your flexibility, stretching, mobility type stuff. So starting slow could be picking one kind of a workout in one of those categories, in each of those categories. So let's say you're doing one from each category. That's 3 different sessions, maybe in the course of a week, that you're going to do something. And then you do that again the next week and the next week, right? So it doesn't have to be a very big thing, very long thing. It could just be 10 minutes, a strength kind of an exercise. The next day or maybe a couple of days, 10 minutes of an endurance or cardio. Could be some fast walking, maybe you're going for a jog, cycling, what have you. And then maybe another day is focusing on some stretching for 10 minutes. They don't have to be large increments. That is the key, starting with these small increments and then building up over time. So another way that you could start small is, rather than try to pick one type of thing from each category, is to just pick from one category and just focus on something, right? Let's say we're going to focus on strength training right now, maybe for the next several weeks, and thinking about how many times in the week can I schedule those in. Again, 10, 20 minutes, can be short. And then just work on getting that strength training routine locked down. Now you can always build up. If you have more time, you can always do more. If you have less time, you can always increase the intensity. You can also, if you've got more days available in a particular week, you could also add in some extra days, okay? You can always build on the routine that you've established, but creating that core routine is going to be key. That's where you're going to start to create that consistency. So once you start to build up that routine, you're going to start to see these results from your workouts. But going slow is going to make it so much more attainable for you. Okay. So tip number 1, starting slow or starting small. Tip number 2 in creating consistency is the dial method. So think of your fitness. Again, this also can apply to pretty much every area in your life, but focusing on your fitness routine. Think of that routine, or your current fitness, if you will, on a dial from 1 to 10. 1 is very minimal effort or activity, and 10 is maximum effort or activity. So think for a moment, if you were to dial that fitness for you up to a 10, what would that look like? Think about frequency, how often. Think about duration, how long are the workouts? Think about intensity, okay? How hard are you going at it for the workout? So just ponder that a moment. You could also apply this to your nutrition. You could also apply it to your self-care. Those are my three pillars, right? Movement, nutrition, and self-care. So I'm going to focus on these. You could apply it to anything else. Again, relationships, finances, work, stuff, whatever you have. Today we're focusing on fitness though. So that's dialing it up to a 10. Now, what would it look like if you dialed it all the way down to a 1? Not a 0, not nothing, but a 1. What would a 1 look like? Again, think of the frequency, how often, think of the duration, how long, and think of the intensity, how hard. So what other actions or effort, things that you can do that you could put into place or happen on those different levels, the level 1, the level 10, right? So you could say that a level 1 might be walking. A level 10 could be sprinting. But in terms of like an overall program, what are the other things that you might put in there? So where is your dial right now? So if you were to think, right, so now we've kind of talked about, here's what a 1 looks like, here's what a 10 looks like, and you've already thought about it specific to you. Where are you at right now on that dial? Are you on the low end? Are you on the high end? Are you in the middle? Take a moment and think about that. Again, specific to fitness here, you can work on the activity, applying it to other areas later if you want to. But what would happen where you are right now? Let's say you're a 5, just for ease of conversation. If you were a 5, what would it look like if you took it up 1 notch to a 6? Could be a half a notch, right? Maybe your dial is a half notch. That's okay. Just a slight turn on that dial. What would it look like? And we're going up. Let's start by going up. So what does that frequency look like? What does that duration look like? What is that intensity? It may not be something more in all 3. It could be same frequency, but maybe you're adding 5 minutes to your sessions, or maybe you're adding more intensity to those same sessions. Now, I want you to think about, does that feel attainable right now? Does it feel like what you've just defined is that 1 notch more? Is that attainable? Could you do that starting today or tomorrow? And if you said no, hell no, let's look at it the other way then. Okay, let's dial that, let's turn that dial down 1 or half a 1. This is where it's really helpful to be super mindful and in tune with what it is that you need from a mental standpoint, from a physical standpoint, what your energy look like, what your schedule look like. But what would it look like if you dialed it down 1? You're still doing something. You're just not doing it at the same level, which is fine, because we're talking about consistency. We're talking about building consistency so that you continue to see your results versus just stopping. So I'm going to share, I actually have two examples that kind of go hand in hand, just so that you can put this together, hearing it from like an actual scenario. So the first scenario is what I've already told you today, that I woke up with a headache and thought about not going to do my scheduled workout. That would have been the easy thing to do. That would have been a 0 on my dial. But instead, I went to go do the workout, and I still had the same hour-long workout, so the duration was the same. The frequency, well, it was the 1, right? So frequency is kind of out of it, but I did it. The intensity, though, is where I modified. So rather than doing my full, somewhere 8 to 10 intensity in these workouts, I took it down to a 5 so that I could still do all the things and, not be all messed up in my head, not feel sick physically. So I applied the dial method to that specific workout, and still got it done. Now, if we take a look, I'll show you how to apply the dial method to your kind of overall plan. So my goal each week is to have 5 workouts during the week. So Sunday through Saturday, 5 workouts, very specific, 1 cardio session. And I usually do my Orange Theory workout or a boot camp or a cycling session. So 1 cardio at a minimum. These are my minimums. Okay. 2 strength training sessions where I prefer to go to the gym because they have heavier weights. They have heavier weights than what I have at home, I should say. And so, an alternate, if I'm applying a dial method to that, is that I do the workout, same workout at home, and I just use lighter weights. Okay. And then I also do, so that's 1 cardio, 2 strength training sessions, and at least 1 yoga session each week, where I already teach 1. I teach 1 on Saturday mornings where I move with the class to kind of help, show them as we go. So I do get a decent yoga practice, even though I'm teaching, but then I might also do another of my own separately. So that actually adds up to only 4 sessions. So I would try to figure out what makes sense for me that week to try to do. Maybe it's running on the treadmill once at home, or doing another yoga class, either a video or doing my own thing, or maybe going to someone's class. Okay. So that 5th one is kind of not a bonus, but choose, out of all of what works for the week. So that, of course, is on top of my morning wake up routine, my morning routine, which is I do about 5 minutes of breathing exercises. Then I'll do about 5 minutes of stretching, and I'll do 5 minutes on the treadmill, just walking, just so that I can kind of wake up a little more intentionally, wake up a little easier by starting with the breath and then the stretching and then the walking, kind of progressing my activity level. But this is also the 5 workout goal is also on top of taking the dog for a walk in the evening. So sometimes we'll alternate who does that. It's not an everyday kind of thing, but that, when I start to map that out, that feels like a lot, right? Oh my gosh, how does somebody get all that stuff in? Well, sometimes my schedule doesn't allow for me to get it all in. So that's where the dial method comes in. Even if I schedule time, I like to plan my workouts at either my lunch or in the evening, have very specific time slots for these sessions. But sometimes things happen, right? Meetings come up over the lunch hour at work that sometimes I can't control, or things come up in the evening. Like last Tuesday, there was a volleyball game that wasn't on the calendar, wasn't on the schedule. So it was kind of like, oh wait, we have a volleyball game? Well, in order to be there for, support my daughter, which is very important to me, then I chose to do that rather than running on the treadmill, which I had planned. So, anyway, my schedule doesn't always allow for all of these things to happen. And so that is where the dial method comes in, where I can say, all right, I'm not going to have time to go to the gym and do my full workout routine. Can I do that session at home later and just have it be less intensity with lighter weights? Most times, yes. Or maybe I do a run on the treadmill that day instead, or, right? I can kind of slot in. I have lots of different options that I can slot in. The other option is that I don't do the workout that day. I do something. Maybe I'm going to walk the dog that night, and I've already done my morning movement, but maybe I'll move that more intense workout to another day. Maybe it's the next day. So I'm still getting it in the week. It just may not be actually according to plan. So that's where flexibility actually comes in. That's not one of my tips, but dial method also includes some flexibility, right? So let me recap for a moment before we get into the 3rd tip. So tip number 1 is starting small, starting slow. And then tip number 2 is the dial method, which I just kind of outlined like the whole thing of the dial method and gave you a little bit of an example. The 3rd tip then in creating consistency is getting comfortable playing in the mundane, right? Kind of just having this, being in this routine and this rhythm and just kind of working through it from day to day. that is where you start to create that consistency. Trying to remove or mitigate some of that variety that can cause decision fatigue, can cause FOMO, fear of missing out. Most people know what FOMO is at this point, but just in case. So the reason why this is one of the tips is because as humans, we actually have a hard time playing in the mundane. We get very attracted and distracted by shiny object syndrome. Lots of variety, changing things up, something shiny, something cool, something new that's happening over here. Or, we want to be doing some different things. Like our brains naturally like crave and want that variety. And it is good for your brain to have some variety, by the way. But when we're talking about creating these healthier habits, you do have to try to manage that a little bit more. Okay, so you've got to get comfortable playing in the mundane. You've got to get comfortable doing the day in and the day out. Sometimes you might just feel like you're slogging it out. Sometimes it just feels like bleh. But that's where being in that right mindset, knowing that you're creating consistency, that you're doing something good for your body, for yourself, even for your mind, right? Working through all these different things. It's actually a good challenge for your brain, even though sometimes it gets distracted. Now you can have some variety, even though you're playing in the mundane. And some of that variety, again, gets into what we talked about with the dial method, playing with frequency, with intensity, with duration. So that can start to create a little bit of variety. It's actually sometimes good when you're doing your workouts to have some of that variety so that your body doesn't get too accustomed to the workout, because then you stop seeing results. That's a whole nother thing. But as we're starting to build and integrate these healthy habits into our lifestyles, we want to work towards that consistency. And so keeping it simple, moving slow, using the dial method, and then just working on it day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. Once you can make consistency happen, your body, you're going to love these results, right? You're going to start seeing it. That's going to motivate you even more. You're going to start getting excited, right? These what sound like sometimes could be boring routines. When you start seeing these results, it's going to motivate you, and you're going to be like, damn, I do need to go get this workout in. But until you get there, you've got to stay focused and intentional. So you're going to feel the benefits as well. You're going to have more energy. Your mood is going to be better. Just your overall fitness, right? You're just going to start feeling more amazing. Who doesn't want to feel more amazing, right? So I want to recap again. The number one rule for an effective fitness program is not having some fancy schmancy routine, going to all these, fancy places, although that can help with some of the variety that you might need. But the number one rule is creating consistency. You could create consistency, we talked about, by starting slow. We talked about using the dial method. That was tip number 2. Not stop and start, but dialing down and dialing up, not to a 0. Don't turn your dial to a 0. Down to a 1 if need be, but still doing something. And then again, you can take it on the whole program, that dial application, or to that particular workout, affecting your duration, affecting your intensity. And then I want you to get comfortable playing in the mundane, flexing around those out of ordinary things that pop up, using the dial method, right? So do I have to shift it to another day so that I can have dinner with friends or lunch with friends? That's okay, as long as you're still going to do something. And maybe that day, if you had to cancel a workout to go have lunch with friends, maybe that day you're just going for a walk outside. You're still doing something. So to close, as we start to close, of course, if you've been listening to my other episodes, you know that I like to close with an energizing action that you can take today or this week. Take that one small step towards your results, towards your goals, right? So the energizing action for today is dialing up your fitness routine, your fitness program, just one notch, just one. And if you were at a 0, then you're dialing up to a 1, and that's fine. But wherever you are, dial it up 1. And that could be, again, adding duration. So adding some length to your workouts, doing more time, adding some frequency. So doing more times per week. Or it could be the intensity of your workouts, pushing a little harder during the workout. And again, if you're not doing anything right now, then you're just going to crank it up to a 1. You're going to add something. It could just be going for a walk, 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, starting slow and small, putting into your routine, your existing routine, what you can without stressing you out. I don't want you to be stressed out. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So we're going to start small. Get these into your calendar, whatever you're going to do. If you're adding frequency, put it in your calendar, right? So you know when you're going to do it. The key here is that you're getting your brain accustomed to prioritizing this thing in this moment being your fitness, whether it's walking, lifting weights, stretching, what have you. So that as you integrate that into your healthy lifestyle, you're rewiring your brain to say, yep, this is how we're going to this is what we're going to prioritize. This is the new channels that we're creating in our brain, so that our brain will start to prioritize getting this done. Now, the more times you can ask yourself, did I move today? And the answer is yes. Regardless of how intense or how long the session was, did you move today? Yes. You're creating that consistency in your brain, and you're building up those tiny wins. And it's just that acknowledgement that, yep, I can do this. I can do this. So I also want to remind you today is actually the start of my free Metabolic Jumpstart Challenge. It is not too late to join. It's free. It's in my Facebook group, the Uplift Habit Shift Facebook group. It's a 5-day Metabolic Jumpstart Challenge. And again, all the videos are going to be in the Facebook group, but when you sign up, I will email you each day. So regardless of what day you sign up, you're going to get emails each day for 5 days. Okay, you sign up on Friday, the videos are still in the Facebook group, you still get the emails for 5 days. Doesn't matter. I just want you to try this 5-day Metabolic Jumpstart Challenge. We're going to talk about workouts that you need to jumpstart your metabolism. We're going to talk about specific foods that can help you get faster results. We're going to talk about stress and its connection to your metabolism. You can also learn a little bit more. I can't remember. I think it was my last episode, actually, stress and metabolism. We're going to talk about how getting more sleep, more quality sleep can help you lose more body fat. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the most overlooked component of metabolism. It can actually be kind of fun, but I'm not going to tell you about it here. You have to join the challenge to find out what it is. The link is below, okay, in the show notes and the comments. And when you register, again, it's free. When you register, you also have the option to upgrade to VIP. That VIP option is just $17, and it will get you access to the Zoom call that we're going to do Wednesday night, a live Zoom call. We're going to dig a little deeper into metabolism than the free portion. And you also have the option to talk with me live, ask any questions you have, any specific things that you're working through. You'll have the time with me through this small group to be able to talk through that. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you found this session valuable. And of course, if you did, like it, leave a review, comment below, and share it with somebody else who might find it valuable, because that would be super amazing to help keep this show going, right? You can also take a screenshot of you listening or watching and tag me on your social channels. So on Facebook and Instagram, it's at Uplift Healthy Lifestyle. All right. Have an energized day.